from the devastating wildfires in Southern California has now risen to 24. The Eaton fire is now one of the deadliest in the state. Officials say it's currently 27% contained, while its spread has slowed down. The fire, though, has already burned through more than 14,000 acres. That Palisades fire that we've heard so much about, that's now 13% contained and has burned through nearly 24,000 acres, and it's still threatening residential areas. Meanwhile, the Hearst fire is 89% contained. That's the good news. And the other two fires that broke out last week are 100% contained. Now officials, though, however, are bracing for what could be, quote, explosive fire growth. That's because strong Santa Ana winds have returned to the area with gusts of up to 70 miles an hour. They're expected to last through Wednesday, prompting red flag warnings from the Ventura County coastline right to the Mexican border. Okay, joining us now live from Pacific Palisades with the latest is NBC's Jay Gray. Jay, what do you have?
Look, the devastation here, and we've all talked about it. We've all seen the video, which doesn't do it justice, by the way, but it's overwhelming. It's unimaginable. Look behind me and you can see it. This area looks like the aftermath of a bombing attack. It is devastated from the flames, from those fighting the fire. And this type of devastation stretches for miles. In other areas, there's just simply nothing left. No clue of what stood before the flames. And as you talk about, there's growing concern that we could see another firestorm over the next several days here. Let's talk about what's happening on the ground here in the Palisades and other areas that have been hit the hardest. National Guard staked out across the area, 1,000 more troops called in overnight. You've got law enforcement and firefighters that are constantly patrolling these areas that are locked down, by the way. They're, of course, looking for hot spots, trying to make sure that they douse those where they can, but also preparing for those severe winds. And that event, according to forecasters, is likely to start really ginning up sometime later this afternoon. You've got people, thousands, wanting to get back in, see what, if anything, is left of their homes. We saw a few people over the last couple of days getting in, trying to find what they could and salvage anything they could from the rubble. That's been locked down. That's been closed off with these winds beginning to pick up again. And what officials have said is that they don't expect to let anyone into areas like this until at least Thursday morning, and it could be longer than that. That will mean some of these folks have been out of their homes for over a week, and just the agony of what they're going through. Sometimes the not knowing can be as difficult as knowing what's happened. And so a lot of people looking to find their way back in and really assess what's happening. But if you want to talk about cleanup, if you want to talk about recovery, you can't do that until the flames are under control. And right now, that's just not the case.
Okay, NBC's Jay Gray, thank you. Let's go straight to meteorologist Michelle Grossman. Michelle, tell us more about those winds that Jay was just talking about in Southern California.
Hi there, Katty. Yeah, we had a bit of a break over the weekend. We're going to start to really see those winds picking up 50, 60, 70 miles per hour. The climate connection is we're drier. We're looking at those winds kind of staying in place. We have an atmosphere that is not moving, a big area of high pressure interacting with this area of low pressure, and that's funneling these winds. So we're looking at really bone dry conditions as well. 10 million people impacted this morning and through Wednesday with red flag warnings. That includes places like Ventura, Santa Clarita, Pasadena, Riverside, Temecula, Escondido. The place is already hit so hard, and we will see those winds really gusting, and they're going to stay in place for quite a while. Now, the National Weather Service out of the LA office has issued a PDS. It's called a particularly dangerous situation. Doesn't happen very often. It's really highlighting that we have extremely critical fire weather conditions really ramping up this afternoon, staying in place Tuesday, also Wednesday. That means a high risk for large fires with explosive growth, just like what we saw last week. We have an extreme risk. That's in the bright pink color. Also critical risk in the red. A yellow is that elevated risk. And we are seeing those fires burning. So we have the Eaton fire, 27% contained, Palisades fire at 13%, Hearst fire doing much better at 89%. But we're worried about more fires. We're worried about these fires also expanding. Now, as we look at the winds right now, not too bad. Again, we had a bit of a break over the weekend. We're looking at winds anywhere from 10, 20 miles per hour, but starting to ramp ramp up, and we're going to see that big time later on today. We're looking at winds gusting near 50, 60 miles per hour, 70 miles per hour, certainly not out of the forecast. And this is why we have a atmospheric situation where we have this big area of high pressure just pushing that storm track to the north. We're not seeing that rainy season, and we're seeing those winds moving onshore as well. Back to you.